Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hello and welcome to Innovating a Game Changer podcast. This is podcast number 19 and I've got some exciting news for you. Safe 4.5 has just been released. We're going to take a look at the innovation cycle that's now built into Safe, and we'll look at some of the other changes that have gone on with the Safe 4.5. I am the innovator, Nevada Smith, and you're listening to Innovating a Game Changer podcast, podcast number 19. So I wanted to go ahead and bring you some exciting news about Safe and the changes that they've made, specifically with Safe 4.5. And they've now called it Safe for Lean Enterprises. So I wanted to show you a few of those changes that have gone on here. And really something that's got me very excited is the innovation cycle that they've now brought into the Safe framework. That is again very exciting to me, because before in Safe 4.0 they actually told you that you should be doing innovation, but they've really not told you how to do that in the past. And now what they've got is a really good solid basis that I would say they're going to start to focus in on future releases of Safe, and really start to talk about how do you do those innovation cycles themselves. This fits really nicely with the design workshops that we've been working on, specifically with the Google Ventures design sprints and doing a 5-day sprint. And I think what we're going to start to see here is that Safe's going to start to make some allowances to bring that stuff into it as you move forward. So if we go over to the Safe website, which you can find at scaledagileFramework.com, you're going to see a bunch of changes going on inside of this particular website here. Gone is the collapsible roadmap, interactive map that's on the screen, and now you can select exactly what you want to be doing from a Safe implementation perspective. For most organizations, when they start out, they're going to be looking at the essential Safe. One of the things we will point out immediately is they've now called it Safe for Lean Enterprises. It's no longer called Safe 4.0 or obviously with Safe 4.5, they don't call it Safe 4.5, they call it Safe for Lean Enterprises. And what I like about this is if you're just starting off, you now can implement this and just take a look at the essential pieces that are going through. If you're with an enterprise organization, you're probably going to be wanting to look at the next level of Safe, which is really at the top level there, and that is moving through to the portfolio layer. Again, the portfolio layer would be for your enterprise organizations and dealing with those enterprise particular solutions. And so you're going to have an inbuilt portfolio level here. The value level is now gone, and they've got this thing called large solutions that they've brought in. And if you click on the large solutions, you can see that as well. And then if you go, it doesn't seem to be clicking. It should expand it. Again, it's just out, so I think there's a couple of bugs in the particular tool, at least on Safari, on Chrome. On a Mac it is. And then if you go to full, you can see the large solutions now has been expanded. So if you were at a large enterprise organization and you're looking at Safe from the full stack perspective, really looking at an enterprise level and portfolios that are tied back to the strategic themes and the vision and the mission of the company, and you're trying to handle a backlog of IT applications that are being built at a organization or an enterprise organizational level, and drive those down into the lower levels, you could use some of the benefits here of tying those things back strategically to all those projects that you want to spin up strategically back to the enterprise level. Most people do start off at the essential level, and I'm excited again to just see this being able to be focused in on right now. When you first saw the overwhelming list of areas on the original diagram, you know, it was a little bit overwhelming. It used to have the team level, the program level, the value level, which they now call large solution, and the portfolio level. So if you're just starting off, you wouldn't know where to start. The fact that you now can pick and choose what you want to do is pretty exciting to me as well. So if we start to take a look at some of the differences in here, that you can click on the link down here for what's new in Safe 4.5. And you can see all of the changes that they've made. I'm not going to take you through all of them. I'm going to take you through some of the highlights that I thought was very, very exciting for me. So number one is obviously it's backwards compatible with Safe 4.0. So they're giving you time, and it's they actually are going to continue to support Safe 4.0 for another 12 months. So you can adopt these things at your own pace and work through them and add these things in as necessary. The essential safe and configurability, again, we took a look at those on the main web page. The interactive map that's available there allows you to select the essential safe, the large solution safe, the portfolio, or the full safe if you're at that from an enterprise perspective. Again, I'm excited about the essential safe because it allows you to drill right in and where you need to start. This is where you want to be starting if you're just starting up to spin up some agile organizations that are going to be following the SAFe framework. This is a great place to start. So I'm going to spin on down here. Some terminology's also changed, right? So now they got a thing called the solution train. They used to have a value stream backlog. It's now called the solution backlog. There was a value stream engineer. Now it's a solution train engineer. Value stream epics are now called solution epics. The value stream Kanban is now a solution Kanban. Value stream level is a large solution level. And value stream PI objectives are solution PI objectives. So there's a little bit of terminology that's changing. It shouldn't be too hard to grasp that stuff. And if you want to read through this, it talks about these new people that are, or these new roles that you should be following. So here's where it gets most exciting for me. One of the shortcomings in the SAFe framework was that it said you should be doing innovation, but it really didn't talk about how to do that. And now they're starting to set up a framework or a base to build upon and how to deal with that particular startup economy, right? So how do you do lean startup? How do you do lean UX? So it's really focusing now in on the customer value and the minimum viable product and how to do that. So it's got this new cycle that they call hypothesize, build, measure, and learn. And if we really take a look at what we were talking about in the previous podcast, which is the Google Ventures approach to doing it, which was sprints, they call it the design sprint. It really focuses in on the customer, and you come up with an hypothesis, and then you build it, and then you measure it, and you learn from that measurement. And again, from a Google Ventures sprint perspective or design sprint perspective, it's all about getting to that fifth day and getting those customers in to give you that feedback of whether or not you should stop work, which is represented on this particular screen, or continue to add additional features to that MVP. So in all of my workshops that I do, I always start off with the customer and the customer journeys, and I start to figure out exactly what areas are going to add values. If we start to take a look at a customer journey, we're going to see the gaps in the handoffs between the human and the IT program or the IT software that's being built, and we've got opportunity there to actually build in innovation, do things in a new way, interact with the user in a new way. And that's really what we're doing here in the lean startup cycle. It's allowing us to focus in on what that customer value is and then build that minimum viable product to get it out to the market, to get that feedback loop happening. And again, you can stop work. It's much better to have spent a few days to determine whether or not something's working than to build a 9 or 12-month project and only to find out that that's not what the customer wants, or worse still, the market has moved on and you never even made it into that market. So the epic hypothesis and lean business case is fostering lean startup thinking in SAFe 4.5. There's an epic value statement now and a lightweight business case that have been refactored into these epic hypothesis statements. And this is, again, very exciting to me because you're starting to build a business case before you even start to build anything. And this helps center all of the team members that are actually on there. So if you talk about for the customers who do something, this is almost like what we've talked about in previous statement. You can almost have this hypothesis statement is really an elevator pitch. So I've got workshop activities and workshop rounds that you go through where you build these elevator pitches, and this is really where this has come from. So I'm starting to see the innovation, the body of knowledge of innovation start to creep into SAFe 4.5, and I can't wait to see where they're going moving on. So the hypothesis statement, again, is going to have outcomes. It talks about the leading indicators, and it talks about the non-functional requirements that go along with it. They've got capability out here on the body of knowledge for Scaled Agile Framework. You can download these templates and use those. I like to use those whiteboards. I like to build these things interactively. I like to run a workshop round or session that actually does this particular work. And I think it's great to bring the entire team together to actually address those things. So the next piece is really the lean user experience. And this is really about identifying a hypothesis, looking at collaborative design, building that minimum feature set that needs to go out to the market, and then get that value evaluation. And I think, again, the Google Ventures design sprint does a wonderful job at being able to do this. And again, if we're focused in on the innovation side of things rather than the standard development that we're dealing with here, the design sprint is a really good methodology to go through, spend those 5 days to get it out in front of the customer. This evaluation cycle would be one-on-one customer interviews. So here's an example that they've got here. The feature is in-service software update. The benefit hypothesis is downtime decreased by 80%. Their acceptance criteria, which would become each one of these acceptance criteria would actually become your use cases. It's non-stop routing availability, automatic and manual update support, rollback capability, support through existing admin tools. All enabled services are running after the update. So again, this is a framework. These are templates that you fill in and actually go through this particular process itself. And then it all feeds back into lead and governing with the lean portfolio management. So that feedback cycle that we've talked about gets to feed back into the lean governance cycle. And again, it's about constant improvement, right? Constant feedback, getting it back to the market itself. The other exciting thing that's in here as well is really about DevOps. They're bringing in the continuous delivery. So we talked a lot about that in previous podcasts. It's basically building a culture of shared responsibility and then automate, which is the second thing you should be doing before you even start to do any sort of coding. Then you work in the lean flow, which is accelerating the delivery. That's doing the PI planning, execution, and then getting the measurements back for everything. And then allowing a recovery cycle to enable low-risk releases. So pushing stuff out as fast as possible. So again, DevOps is now being built into this. I'm not sure. I think they did mention it in Scaled Agile Framework 4.0. I haven't seen as much attention being put on that to now. So it looks to me like they're building the basis to move this stuff forward. And again, I'm so excited to see this stuff in here because this is real. This hypothesize, build, measure, learn cycle, and the continuous delivery is what allows us as IT professionals to get innovative products out to the market really, really quickly. So again, this has been a quick podcast on the new features of SAFe 4.5. We focused in on the innovation cycle. I am the innovator. This is Nevada Smith, and you've been listening to Innovating a Game Changer podcast.